they had to have guns to hunt. They didn't have supermarkets like we do today. And that was the reason they had the right to bear arms.
So you think we should completely revise the Second Amendment? Do you think we should just get rid of it completely?
Well, the Second Amendment has something in it that is very important. I think that if you are in a situation where you need to bear arms, yes. What that situation would encompass, I can't say. But in general, the public should not be allowed to have guns.
I don't think you should rewrite that. You should just get rid of all the politicians that are making decisions right now.
All the old cronies.
Yeah. Let's get a whole new group in there.
That Supreme Court guy that wants to change is about 190 years old, isn't he?
Do you think we should add anything to the Constitution or take away anything at all, like the freedom of speech, right to privacy?
Not at all. Not at all.
Do you think it's okay that the NSA completely violates that right there, our right to privacy?
It's debatable if they do or they don't. I mean, so they say it's for our own good.
If that's what they say, but I mean...
Who knows?
You know, as an American, though, you don't feel like you've been violated, though? You know, we give them all this power, this trust.
I think the government violates us every day.
I can't understand. I don't know. Like, I go to school here, but I'm from Colombia, and my whole family lives in Colombia, so I really...
Well, you're here. You should care about it. It affects you.
I do care about it. The thing is, like, I don't feel educated enough to say, like, I completely support this.
We are living in a world right now that's terror-ridden. It's got a lot of problems, murders, robberies.
But that's always been going on.
Yes, but
the only reason is, though, is the social media. Now you just have more viewing of it.
And I think that's wrong, too, because there's a lot of copycat crimes going on, all right? School shootings, they publicize it. Why? Somebody says, hey, that's a good idea, I'll do that, too. Things like that are wrong. The media has to stop publicizing crime, and they're doing that.
So you don't agree with the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, then? The freedom for press?
I absolutely do.
You just think it should be monitored?
Absolutely.
As you can see, there's a lot of varying opinions about the Constitution. Some people know, some people don't, and some people flat out just don't care.
Well, that was some pretty scary stuff, Joe. Leanne, what have you got?
Well, my report is child sacrifice goes mainstream. They were kind of talking about a new beauty treatment where blood of the young was going to help people live forever, help improve their brain. And the way that they were selling it in the mainstream media, it was just almost like they were seething over this young blood. And it just came across very occult-like to me. That kind of, sent off an alarm in my head. I was like, why are they just selling it this way? I mean, who doesn't want to look younger? But nobody was addressing where this blood was going to be coming from. Where are they going to be getting this blood of the youth from? Are they going to have middle schoolers lining up donating blood? No, they're probably most likely going to be having aborted fetuses as where they're going to be getting these, this blood from. We've reported, how they're using fetuses to heat hospitals for their energy. And, we did the report on Soylent Green is people and just kind of showing where people's value of life basically is at this present moment. And then I kind of get a little bit more into, occult worship and Satanism, and how this is kind of something that's been around for a very long time, this obsession with youth and the energy of children and child sacrifice. And
the younger the better.
Yeah. And we just saw that report that Dan Badandi did about the Satanist saying that he has the children. We have all your children.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just something that's so prevalent, and here the mainstream media is just seething over this new knowledge. So enjoy it. Just when you thought occult worship couldn't get more mainstream, the Illuminati's media is now actively promoting the use of young blood in the quest to live forever.
Well, scientists have apparently found a way to reverse the effects of aging.
Now, this one sounds like something out of the movies, but young blood could be the key to reversing aging.
Some are calling it vampire therapy. Others see it potentially as the fountain of youth.
It was something a cross between vampire and Frankenstein, where they took two animals and they hooked their blood supply together for 4 weeks, called parabiosis.
Imagine if you could turn back the clock 5, 10, even 15 years and reverse the effects of aging.
Fascinating.
It's a fascinating study, actually.
It's so fascinating.
Indeed, fascinating. What once was reserved for Gothic novels is now confirmed by scientists. They've found that young blood actually recharges the brain, forms new blood vessels, and improves memory and learning. So far, the findings pertain to a particular strain of mice, but if results can be replicated in other strains, human trials won't be far off.
And the beauty business is already using blood to give that youthful glow.
Ever the trendsetter Kim Kardashian got a vampire facial. The gruesome procedure involves the re-injection of the patient's own blood platelets back into the skin in an effort to rejuvenate the face.
I think my skin looks better. No.
Maybe now she can try it with baby North's blood.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, I am open to the thought of looking and feeling 15 years younger, but nobody is explaining who's gonna be supplying the baby's blood.
Will we begin breeding humans simply for their ability to donate blood? The value of a child's life has already diminished in some circles to no more than their useful byproducts. An energy plant in Oregon burns aborted babies from Canada to generate electricity. And aborted babies are used to heat hospitals in the UK, their life force used in a waste-to-energy program. And one woman even posted a video of her abortion on YouTube in her narcissistic pursuit of fame.
I just want to share my story.
But what strikes me about this new science is how the belief that the fountain of youth can be tapped with young blood has been around forever. Throughout history, cultures across the globe have extolled the properties of youthful blood. Children are sacrificed, and the blood of young warriors was drunk by the victors. Lady Bathory was rumored to bathe in the blood of virgins to preserve her youthful looks. And of course, there's vampires who live forever by draining the blood of their victims. And the story goes, vamps find babies' blood the most rejuvenating. Some admit drinking blood for the energy they receive.
I get irritable without it. I get angry. I don't want to leave my house. I want my blood.
Drinking blood is trendy. Just ask Kesha, the queen of occult pop. And Satanists exalt the power found in the life force of children. Details of the history of child sacrifice are written about in Bloodlines of the Illuminati by Fritz Springmeier. A baby must be sacrificed to Satan in exchange for power. Springmeier notes how it's not the family name itself that holds the power for the Illuminati, but the very occultic blood pulsing through their veins. Hence all the intermarrying between these families to keep the potency of their bloodline pure. Youthful life force is wildly attractive to the powerful, who find covert ways to feed their insatiable thirst. The Franklin cover-up reveals one of the biggest pedophile scandals in the history of the USA. Boy prostitutes 15 years old and younger were taking midnight tours of the White House. And across the pond, BBC host Jimmy Savile was found to be involved in a child sex ring for VIPs. Interesting to note, Savile's good buddy Prince Charles is a direct descendant of Vlad the Impaler, who you might know by his other name, Dracula.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. The occult literally in your face with those vampire facials.
Yeah.
What have you got, Jakari?
I picked one. I was out in the streets, and this was a city of Austin story. They were pretty much arresting jaywalkers here in the city of Austin. This is a police department. And I've told the Austin police chief, Art Aceveda, this. We, have had many, numerous conflicts. And I tell him, last time I saw him, I said, as many things I have to say about you guys aren't the worst people in town. Texas DPS and other guys are out there doing much worse stuff. So I do give them that. But, when I see a police department where they can show up to the address of an innocent person, shoot the dog, and walk off, and it's no big deal. A police department where they can shoot an unarmed man in the back and then have the case or have the investigation dropped once that officer retires, those things really irk me.
Yeah.
And recently we saw the situation where they arrested a jaywalker, and, talking to the police chief, he said it wasn't because she was jaywalking, it was a failure to obey a traffic control device. And I'm like, you have all this use of force to crack down on jaywalking. And they said, well, we have a lot of jaywalkers out here getting hit by cars. It could be detrimental to their health. I'm like, well, isn't it pretty scary to run up behind a woman and drag her down to the ground and, have her kicking and screaming and crying and all this? But, it's justified in their eyes, so I'll let the viewers decide.
We're here at the spot where last week 4 Austin police officers were needed to subdue a single female jogger. The original offense, jaywalking. She was later on arrested for the failure to identify to an officer. What happened to the Miranda right to remain silent? What happened to the Fifth Amendment? What happened to the First Amendment? The freedom of speech. Doesn't that also include the freedom not to speak? Let's find out what these students have to say. Hi, excuse me. Hi. What do you think about the jogger who got arrested out here last week?
I actually think it's kind of funny because I cross the street all the time.
What do you think about the jaywalker who was arrested last week?
I don't know the whole story, do you?
I don't know the whole story, but with what you heard, do you have any opinion? Because they say, well, she was officially arrested for failing to identify to an officer. It wasn't the jaywalking charge, but just the police resources. Do you think it's a good use of a police resource to be out here busting jaywalkers, just cracking down on jaywalking?
I don't know. That's sort of like, do you still beat your wife, right? You can't really beat your wife. You can't say whether you did or not because you'd be guilty either way.
I don't necessarily agree with his comparison to beating your wife. I mean, busting a jaywalker is busting a jaywalker.
My thoughts are that's pretty ridiculous, but it was a white girl in a nice part of town, and if it was anybody else, it wouldn't have made the news.
If somebody gets hit from jaywalking, then that's their problem. You don't need 4 cops involved.
I think he shouldn't have got arrested, or she shouldn't have got arrested.
Why is that?
Because she was just crossing the street.
Right. Well, the official reason given for her arrest wasn't so much that she crossed the street, it was because she failed to identify to an officer.
So that means she didn't show her ID? Is that the...
Well, she didn't provide the Austin Police Department with as much information as they desired. I mean, are you familiar with your Miranda rights?
Yes, I am familiar with.
Can you tell me one of the Miranda rights?
You have a right to remain silent.
There have been contradictory reports. The police are saying that they were in the young lady's field of view when they tried to grab her. There have been other reports that saying that the officers approached her from behind.
Quintero doesn't think the officer did run up beside her, like Acevedo said.
I think he grabbed her slightly from behind, and it may not be from far behind, but enough to where she didn't notice who was grabbing her right away.
So if you were out jogging, you got your headphones in, you're a single woman alone, and somebody just grabbed you from behind, what would your reaction be?
I would have kept running.
All I read was that she didn't see them coming and they grabbed her from behind.
Whether or not he grabbed her by behind, it doesn't matter. It's not relevant. At some point, she knows it's a cop.
If somebody was to grab you from behind for any reason, what would your reaction be?
Definitely do exactly what she did, kick their ass.
Excuse me, miss, you were jaywalking there for a second?
Yeah, class, I'm sorry.
Okay, so she has to go to class, and that's a good reason to jaywalk. I just want you to know you get arrested by the Austin Police Department. And let me ask you about some comments that the police chief made. Yeah. He said that, the big controversy of last week was that a jogger was arrested, for failing to identify. He says, in comparison, in other cities, you have officers who are actually sexually assaulting people. So does that concern you at all that the bar has been set kind of low? He later came back and, took back those comments, but do you think that's a good place to set the bar?
No, this has nothing to do with sexual assault. You can't compare that.
Now, he has later come back and rescinded those comments, but do you think that's kind of a bad place to set your bar, your standard, that at least we're not out here raping people?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's totally uncalled for. I can't believe they would say something like that.
That's ridiculous. I think that's an awful comparison. I mean, that's not a good standard.
In other cities, cops are actually committing sexual assaults on duty. So I thank God that this is what passes for a controversy in Austin, Texas.
Be careful, because they're rolling, they hating, they're trying to catch you walking dirty.
I know.
As I jaywalk across the street, I can't help but think about the Austin Police Department. The Austin Police Department who would shoot an unarmed man in the back, even though he doesn't match the description of a bank robbery suspect. About the Austin Police Department who would show up to the wrong address, shoot your dog, and shrug their shoulders and walk off as if nothing happened. Wouldn't these efforts, these police resources, be better served down at City Hall demanding that fluoride be taken out of the water, or demanding that GMO be taken out of food, or arresting the bankers who devalue our currency every day? So if you come to the city of Austin, Texas, and you find yourself arrested, the situation initiating from a jaywalking response, you can rest assured that the bar has been set high. At least you're not being raped by the police. I'm Jakari Jackson for the INFOWARS Nightly News. Oh, hi. Hi. You ladies are all jaywalking right now. Did you hear about the woman who got arrested last week? Her initiation was a jaywalking incident?
No.
You didn't hear that? No. Well, you better be safe, because they're out here rolling. The rollers they'll try to get you. All right? So be safe. Be safe. All right. And don't let anybody grab you from behind. They like doing that as well.
we keep seeing more stories come out all the time. I think it's not the Austin Police Department, but another APD that is probably the worst police department in the country. And just last week, we saw yet another case where they, assaulted a guy, caused him to lose a testicle. I mean, it just goes on and on. You have to stop this stuff